Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a smashing week so far. Today we're going to be jumping into Cardano, and we're going to be doing really only two things in this video. To start things off, we're going to fly through a lot of the news that's currently taking place within the Cardano ecosystem, some of the things that also surround it. And then really, I want to pick up on something that I mentioned yesterday, and it's to do with this tweet here regarding Hydra, and how Hydra, or one of the heads of Hydra, is now essentially on a public Cardano testnet. And what I want to do in the second half of this video, when we've got a lot of the news out of the way, is really go into Hydra. I was reading an article earlier, essentially introducing you to what Hydra is. And I think if you understand, if the implementation of Hydra, which is a layer 2 solution that is going to essentially run concurrent with Cardano, is implemented, it could allow Cardano unlimited scalability. Now, this is something that right now, typically blockchains don't need a great amount of TPS, transactions per second, because the usage just isn't there. Yes, the more they have, the smoother the blockchain will go. In many cases, the cheaper. But really, crypto is at a very infantile state in the sense that we haven't seen that sort of mass adoption. And we haven't really, in terms of people using crypto on a day-to-day basis, even seen any kind of real adoption. This is all still to come. This is why, despite all the pessimism, despite the market action, we've remained extremely bullish on crypto, because I genuinely believe I know what I'm looking at here. And I think crypto is a technology, and I say this on pretty much every video because it's important, and it will change your perspective if you understand this. It's a technology that is going to change the world. We had Jerome Powell himself liken crypto blockchain to the internet, to the railroad industry, to the motoring industry, and a number of other technological revolutions that have really changed the world. That's what's happening with blockchain today, ladies and gentlemen. And it's in a very early stage with a huge time horizon. There's a reason we're seeing many big players in the financial world take flight over to the crypto space. There's a reason we're seeing many big companies out there look at crypto as a revenue stream, because they know that this is what the future looks like. The future is going to involve blockchain technology, ladies and gentlemen. There's pros and cons to that. Certainly in terms of a CBDC, I think it's a big con for a number of reasons that I'm not going to go into in this video. We are going to do a separate video on CBDCs because there's a lot to be said on it. So what I'm going to do is fly through some of the news, and then we're going to dive into this article. It's about a 5-minute read, potentially for somebody who isn't dyslexic like myself. So it may take a little bit longer, but we're going to get through this article. And by the end of it, it's quite a well-comprised article that links things together rather well. You guys should have a sort of real understanding of what Hydra actually is and what it's looking to do and why it is so revolutionary. And I should absolutely remind people that Hydra is really one scaling solution of many. We're moving into the Basho era, or we're in the Basho era, which sees the implementation of or the issue of scalability really get tackled. So let's get into it, guys. Really, let's just start by taking a look at the charts. Crypto as a whole is seeing a bit of an uptick today. Number of reasons for this. In yesterday's video, we spoke in quite a bit of detail about the Vasil hard fork that's coming up, and how you've actually got a lot of dApps looking to or waiting to deploy for this hard fork, so they can really benefit from a lot of the features that come with it. And we know that I'm unbelievably excited about this year for ADA. There's so much coming. I mean, we're essentially seeing 2 chapters for Cardano get tackled within 1 year, which isn't typical. But there's so much coming, from dApps to chain development to layer 2s. You name it, it's coming this year, guys, and it's an absolute reason to be excited. And the price action really hasn't reflected that. Cardano's had a constant sell pressure here, and I'm not going to speak too much about it because I'm going to upset a lot of people. But this constant sell pressure, there's certain players within the Cardano ecosystem that sell pretty much every epoch because they're businesses that have to generate cash. But we'll move on from that. So we spoke about this, and we spoke about how if you looked at previous hard forks, you always get a run up to the hard fork. Hype builds up, and then you get a kind of the hype dying down, and a potential return to normality that's been excelled for Cardano by a number of factors. We've spoken about many of them, but we are anticipating a move to the upside in wake of the Basel hard fork. And as a blockchain, we keep progressing continuously. Cardano among top 5 fastest developed assets per sentiment data details. So you can see here we're number 3 according to sentiment, which is absolutely fantastic. We know via Masuri.io that we are indeed, in terms of transaction volume in relation to USD, so the US dollar, we're number 1 above Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is absolutely huge. Now, many people will say, okay, it's because of your UTXO model and a number of other things, but you know, people have been throwing criticism at Cardano for a long time, and one thing it's proven, if nothing else, is that it's extremely resilient and it's survived, and in my opinion is going to flourish. When I look at blockchain, it's an evolving technology. That's why we're not a maximalist. I'm not even a Cardano maximalist. I'm a blockchain maximalist. And Bitcoin maxis, they kind of back themselves into a bit of a corner, because I think a lot of them don't even believe what they're saying themselves. They've just kind of they've built careers up off of it, and they can't really 180 from the positions they're in. But being a Bitcoin maximalist, to me, John McAfee said this, it's like being the first ever computer maximalist. You have a computer in your pocket nowadays that has, you know, thousands of times the power that the original one had. And there's far more use cases, I think, with these smart contract blockchains than there are with something like Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin potentially could really shine through as a store of value, akin to something like gold, and really capture a lot of that kind of market. That's why I think the SEC are stalling on a Bitcoin ETF, because it has negative repercussions for other ETFs out there. Cardano price starts uptrending as Trezor hardware wallet adds support for Ethereum killer. I think Ethereum is going to be here for a long time, guys. Yes, they've got their issues. They've had their issues for a long time with the gas fees, but Ethereum is here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. And they are fixing a lot of the issues that they had. Remember, blockchain is so new that no one's got all the answers, and a lot of how we've got to where we are has come from learning on the job, if you will. So this, of course, is the tweet. This is Trezor announcing that they have indeed allowed support for Cardano and staking, which is, again, another step in the adoptional path. Cardano ADA surpasses Kusama in total value locked on decentralized financial applications, or finance applications, so DeFi, and total value locked. We've been monitoring this. We've been, you know, telling you the way that this was going to go. We've been taking part, actually, in a lot of those DeFi protocols and using them. We've not seen anything yet, guys. We really haven't. I mean, the snowball has now started, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger over time. This is a very exciting year that Cardano has coming up. So we mentioned this tweet yesterday. I'm extremely proud of the Hydra team for making this milestone. It's one of the fastest and best pieces of applied research in Cardano's ecosystem. If you understand what Hydra is going to do, even partly implemented, it's extremely significant. It's a layer 2 solution for Cardano that has the potential, based on a number of factors like stake pools and their participation, to become an unlimited amount of scalability to come out of this layer 2. And it's not just Cardano that can use them, by the way, but it's been largely born out of IOG, previously known as RHK. So let's get into this article, guys. It is quite a bit of reading, but it's worth doing, certainly for those of you who are trying to understand what's coming for ADA. And this is just one of many things, you know, and it hurts my brain sometimes to kind of come to terms with everything that's going on, and how people aren't sat on the edge of their seats like I am daily, looking at crypto and just filled with excitement for what the future could look like. And not only that, you know, you guys know we talk about price on this channel. I don't think there's any shame in doing that. You've got a lot of Cardano influencers. I'm almost like a subcult of Cardano that will refuse to talk about price or anything of the sort. The majority of the people that are in Cardano are here, or have invested in it, are here to make money. It's the same with crypto. The vast majority of people put their money into crypto to make money, and price is, unfortunately, an associate of that. Now, yes, there are other reasons than to be invested to make money in crypto, like the fact that it's changing the world, but it's because of the fundamentals that the price is derived. Not really the case at the moment, but you know, just like Amazon, just like a number of other stocks out there that have been, the price has been determined by market conditions and not the underlying stock. Value will eventually get realized, and we've done a lot of looking into that. So let's get into this, guys. Cardano IOG developers answers questions on Hydra heads, including their use cases. We're going to start with an introduction. On Wednesday, March the 16th, one member of the Hydra team at IO Global, aka IOG, formerly known as IOHK, answered questions about Hydra heads, which, according to IOG's Matthias Bencork, makes for a strong foundation to build a scalability layer for Cardano. The introduction of Hydra on the 26th March 2020, Greek cryptographer and computer scientist Professor Aggelos, who is the chief science officer at IOG, published a blog post titled Enter the Hydra, Scaling Distributed Ledger the Evidence-Based Way. And that's how Cardano like to do things, ladies and gentlemen. You know, a sort of measure twice and cut once approach. Here is how he introduced it. Scalability is the greatest challenge to blockchain adoption. By applying a principle evidence-based approach, we have arrived at a solution for the Cardano and networks similar to it, Hydra. Hydra is the accumulation of extensive research and a decisive step in enabling decentralized networks to securely scale to global requirements. Professor, I'm not going to try and say that, then gave the 300 or 30,000 feet view description of Hydra. Hydra is an off-chain scalability architecture for distributed ledgers which addresses all three of the scalability challenges mentioned above: high transaction throughput, low latency, and minimal storage per node. While Hydra is being designed in conjunction with the Ouroboros protocol and the Cardano ledger, it may be employed over other systems as well, provided they share the necessary salience characteristics with Cardano. So one thing I really like about Cardano is you actually have a lot of other protocols out there that looked at Cardano's staking mechanism, which is Ouroboros, and actually implemented it on their blockchain. They took the papers and really used them for their blockchain. So Cardano has really pioneered a lot of things within this space. Lots of people don't know that. I think, is it Algorand that uses Cardano's proof of stake sort of mechanism, or a similar one to it, one derived from it, I should say. Anyway, we'll read on. I'm getting off track here. Despite being an integrated system aimed at solving one problem, scalability, Hydra consists of several sub-protocols. This is necessary as the Cardano ecosystem itself is heterogeneous and consists of multiple entities with different technical capabilities. The system supports block producers with associated stake pools, high throughput wallets as used by exchanges, but also end users with a wide variety of computational performance and availability characteristics. It is unrealistic to expect that a one-shoe-fits-all single protocol approach is sufficient to provide overall scalability for such a diverse set of network participants. The Hydra scalability architecture can be divided into four components: the head protocol, the tail protocol, the cross-head and tail communication protocol, as well as a set of supporting protocols for routing, reconfiguration, and virtualization. The centerpiece is the head protocol, which enables a set of high performance and high availability participants, such as stake pools, to very quickly process large numbers of transactions with minimal storage requirements by way of multi-party state channels. A concept that generalizes two-party payment channels as implemented in the context of the Lightning Network. So they are referencing the Lightning Network here. I've checked the Lightning Network out. I don't know how many of you guys have looked into Bitcoin's Lightning Network, but it's similar in ways, but not in others to what Hydra are doing. It is complemented by the tail protocol, which enables those high performance participants to provide scalability for large numbers of end users who may use the system from low powered devices such as mobile phones and who may be offline for extended periods of time. While heads and tails can already communicate via the Cardano main chain. The cross head and tail communication protocol provides an effective or an efficient off-chain variant of this functionality. All this is tied together by routing and configuration management while virtualizing facilities, faster communication, generalizing head and tail communication. So you can tell this guy's smart that wrote this with all the big words that he's throwing around. Great for somebody like me that's reading it. So what they're talking about here is essentially how Hydra works. And it is fascinating. And it's the heads, essentially there can be an unlimited number of heads. And we'll get into that in just a second. This is all preparing. When they talk about people using it on a mobile phone, crypto largely isn't mobile. Yes, you do have exchanges and stuff like that there. But in terms of dApps, it's few and far between. And if we're looking at global adoption, you need to be able to use these protocols via your phone. And we certainly know that Cardano are really quite aggressively going after adoption within Africa for a number of strategic reasons. He also talked a little about Hydra's potential based on simulation results. So this is where they're talking about 1 million transactions, providing the stake pool participants are there, up to, unlimited potentially. We see that a single Hydra head achieves up to roughly 1,000 TPS. So by running 1,000 heads in parallel, for example, one for each stake pool of the Shelly release, we should achieve 1 million TPS. So if there was 2,000 participants, it would be 2 million TPS. So there's almost an unlimited scalability based on the stake pool participants. It leverages the stake pool operators who are responsible for processing the or maintaining the network, if you will. It's the whole kind of proof of stake consensus. Remember, guys, we do have our own stake pool, and we are, minting blocks, and we'd love to have you guys over with us. And we will, if we can, certainly take part in implementing and helping Hydra, really give Cardano and help Cardano achieve that sort of scalability via Hydra. Sebastian Nagel provides an update on Hydra in September 2021. On the 17th of September 2021, Sebastian, a software engineer led at IOG, published a blog entitled Hydra, Cardano's solution for ultimate layer 2 scalability, in which he talked about IOG's proof of concept for the Hydra head protocol. We have already implemented the basic Hydra head protocol as a proof of concept Hydra node. A developer preview will be ready by the time of the up-and-coming Cardano Summit. This will enable developers or anyone interested to run one of the Hydra nodes online, opening a Hydra head with a limited number of participants and feeding transactions to it. Users can expect to see a working prototype over a dedicated testnet, plus early benchmark figures and documentation in this GitHub report. There likely will not be any user-facing components, wallet, user interface, etc. available just yet. In the short term, we will keep developing the Hydra nodes and the Hydra head protocol until it becomes a solid and stable foundation for the community and us to build real-world applications. And that's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. These new apps will benefit from the fast settling and low to no cost transactions. We are also actively developing other key features, include the support of multiple heads per node, persistence, and head protocol extension. As for the medium term, he said this: in the medium term, say 6 to 12 months, progress will greatly depend on the results of our research and experimentation, plus feedback from the developer community. We are researching ways to interconnect multiple Hydra heads to increase the reach of our layer 2 solution, for example, and also testing different methods that make it easier to integrate and to use Hydra. One of the most exciting visions for the long term is the development of virtual heads by running the Hydra heads protocol inside Hydra heads, thus fully utilizing the isomorphism of our layer 2 solution. Therein lies true theoretical limitless scalability. So you can see just how huge this potentially is. I know this is long-winded, guys, but it's certainly worth sort of learning about this sort of stuff, because it gives you a vision of where Cardano is going and the kind of power that it may have. You know, it's a blockchain that's done things right, in my opinion. Matthias provides an update on the Hydra head in 2022 on February. It essentially goes on. Here was a short explanation of the Hydra heads. A Hydra head is the provable, secure, isomorphic state channel. Simply put, it is the off-chain mini ledger between a restricted set of participants, which works similarly, albeit significantly quicker to the on-chain main ledger. So it's a layer 2. So essentially things are validated on the layer 2, on Hydra, and then they're referenced to the main chain. So it takes the load off the main chain onto the layer 2 solution, which in this case would be Hydra. There are other layer 2s looking to deploy on top of Cardano that are all doing things in a slightly different way. I don't think there's any others that are doing things in the same way that Hydra is, but Mamba and a number of other things. He then used this poker analogy, and he goes on to say, think of the heads as private poker as a private poker table wherein participants bring their own chips to play the game. Participants can play for as long as they want. If someone doesn't play, then the game doesn't progress, yet participants are still free to walk away with their chips. If they do so, the game ends with the current wealth distribution. The dealer at the table, the on-chain script, in brackets, ensures that people play by the rules and don't cheat. In the end, there are as many chips out there as there were in, but they may have been redistributed during the course of the game. While the final result is known outside of the table, the history of all actions that happened during the game is known only by is only known to the participants. So what they're doing, what that analogy is kind of saying, is that Hydra, essentially what they do is they register things on the Hydra heads and then they reference it to the main chain. So for example, with a poker analogy, we could play a game of poker. We could all have 100 chips each. Somebody ends up with 120, somebody ends up with 80, and so on and so forth. But that's then takes part within the game, but then gets referenced to the kind of casino, if you will, which is the analogy to Cardano. I think that's kind of along the lines of it. And then they go on, but it's very, very exciting. That's just kind of a brief breakdown of everything. There is a lot going on, and essentially this was one of the most recent tweets in association with it. Today, almost exactly 1 year after we read the Hydra paper first time, back to back, we opened the first Hydra head on the public Cardano testnet. This should be the first which saw the full init, commit, close, and fan out life cycle. This is a great accomplishment, and it's a pleasure to work with you. And so this is essentially what they're saying. So we have a public testnet for one of the Hydra heads. Amazing step in the right direction. We potentially could get the full implementation of Hydra this year. Very, very exciting, ladies and gentlemen. It's something I'm certainly looking forward to. I will leave a link to this article so you guys can read it yourself in the description. That is really all I have for you in this video, guys. This has been a lot longer video than I anticipated. However, I felt that, you know, this was quite a good article that was worth sharing, and certainly something that I'm stoked for what is around the corner in regards to Hydra, in regards to, you know, everything that's getting implemented on the Cardano blockchain, and also building on it this year. So that's really all I have for you guys. Remember, we do have the staple. All in is the ticker. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evenings.